If I could have your attention here, we did hear from Director Davidson. He's coming, or? David Hurt, okay. All right, well, I would like to welcome everyone to the September 25th, 2019 meeting of the CCWD Board of Directors. And would you all please rise and join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Rebecca, would you please call the roll?
Director Cepeda? Yes. Director Ryder?
Yeah, here. Present.
President Thomas?
I am here as well.
And Director Davidson is currently absent.
Okay, this item number 2 is public comments. At this time, members of the public may address the board on any non-agendized item. The public is encouraged to work through staff to place items on the agenda for board consideration, and no action can be taken on matters not listed on the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Anyone on the board wishing to be a member of the public to make a public comment?
Not today.
Not today?
Not today. No.
Okay. There used to be a board member that would occasionally do that.
Yeah?
I remember. Yeah, Mr. Mills.
Oh.
Okay.
Go out there in the audience? Seriously?
Yeah.
To the podium.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay, going on to item number 3, consent agenda. These items are expected to be routine and non-controversial. Items will be acted upon by the board at one time without discussion, but however, any board member may request that any item be removed for later consideration. I have a small correction that I'd like to make on 3A, so let's pull that, please.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda. To accept that pulling 3A. Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to ratify 3A, which is the 3B, pardon me, is the claim summary, and 3C is the report on the monthly investment transactions. I'll pull the board on that, please.
Director Cepeda?
Yes.
Director Ryderman?
Yes.
Director Underhill?
Yes.
President Thomas?
Yes. And on the correction on 3A, going to the, this is the minutes of the meeting of the 28th of August. There is a statement here, Rebecca, that under board directors, reported, Director Thomas reported he attended a city planning meeting in Saddle Creek. I would like to have that corrected to, it's a Saddle Creek Citizens Committee.
And I'm looking at, I'm at the minutes.
Yes?
And it could just be reading weird, but on 3A, approval of minutes for board meeting of August 28th.
And September 11th.
And I'm looking at this right now. And is that correct for it to say, even though this is the 28th, that the meeting? Oh, no, I guess it just looks to me like if on the consent agenda, we're approving the minutes of the same day as the meeting, is that doesn't seem to be right, is it?
No, it can't, it can't be. She's looking on top of page 2 in the agenda of the
It
minutes.
says the minutes of the 28th.
The minutes for August 28th are, can't
Yeah, I
be.
think 3A should have been the previous meeting in August.
Mm,
Yeah.
They're 28.
So this isn't our board pack, this is the history of what we did at the meeting on the 28th.
Yes.
If this is the history of what we did, we couldn't have approved it on that day. I mean, this should have been like whatever do you see what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
The challenge for me to put out.
Okay, so
Two corrections.
we have two corrections, and with those corrections, I move that we approve item
What is the
3A.
date that it's supposed to be?
August 28th and September, well, the date of that,
On the August 28th minute.
So that would be the 14th, August 14th.
Got it. On 3A's changed to the 14th. Okay.
Right.
I'll second that Director Thomas's motion.
okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Would you please poll the board?
Director Cicada?
Yes.
Director Rittman?
Yes.
Director Underhill?
Yes.
President Thomas?
I vote to approve that. Okay, the next item is item number 4. We have a closed session. It'll be a brief closed session regarding the Public Employee Performance Evaluation, Government Code 54957. We'll be back momentarily.
Now, was Jeff gonna be here? Should we maybe push that off and go on to next business, but he's here for the closed session? Or no?
He had told me he might miss the 9th. He didn't say anything about this meeting, so.
Do we need to take on 4A before we go to new business? No?
Agenda change to the
So do you need to, no, you don't have to unless you want to discuss 4A before you discuss other items, but you do not have to, like, you can take 5A right now if you so desire.
And 5B?
Well, I think we need to go on to 4A before we do 5B.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we can move on to 5A, and if Jeff doesn't
Okay.
get here, then.
Then we'll,
Well,
then we'll go 4A to 5B. What do you say, President?
I would like to take a brief timeout, give me an opportunity to do my speed dial to Mr. Davidson,
Okay.
see if he is in fact on his way.
Unless he's doing it on purpose, so we couldn't have to make a decision.
Okay. Okay, just for clarification, we took a short break and determined that Director Davidson cannot make it to the meeting today, so we're going to proceed with item 4A, which is our Public Employee Performance Evaluation to closed session, and we will be returning in a moment. Okay, I'd like to call the meeting back to order. We have returned from our closed session. Although I typically say that there's nothing to report, we will have something to report. No?
Nothing to report.
Nothing to report from the closed
Okay.
session. There's no reportable action from closed session.
No reportable action at the meeting, okay. Under new business, we have 5A, discussion and action authorizing revisions to the Division 5 Jenny Lind and La Contenta Gold Creek Estates Unit 3 Water Wastewater Service Facilities Agreement. And this is by Charles Palmer. Hello, Charles.
Good afternoon, members of the board. So this is Gold Creek 3 is near the La Contenta Golf Course, Valley Springs service area. It's within what we call the 8604 assessment district. So this is a 171 single-family residential subdivision. There was a Gold Creek Unit 1, Unit 2 that have already been constructed. This is the third unit. And this item was before the board on July 10th, where we approved a facilities agreement. And at that time, we had included some system impact fees and requirements. And in subsequent discussions with the developer, there was a request in regards to some of the fees that were charged in that agreement. And as a result, we are requesting that the board approve deleting paragraph 5 in that agreement, which I will. This is paragraph 5, which is was trying to recover costs for construction of the La Contenta Lower Dam and also for the La Contenta wastewater improvement project phase 2 that were already completed subsequently. And the reason for the deletion is that upon further review, it was apparent to me that definitely the lock antenna wastewater phase 2 was already included in the current capacity fee. And then to some extent, the lower dam was considered in the capacity fee, not really recovering the original construction cost, but there was a replacement cost associated with that facility. So for those reasons, I am requesting that paragraph be deleted. I can provide further comment if there's questions about it.
Any questions? I just have one, Charles. This would kind of indicate to me that there wasn't a series of meetings with the party before the original agreement was formulated. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, part of the issue is this whole process has been a little bit rushed, you know, there by the applicant. So we've had to kind of, you know, hasn't been ideal in the way that the application was submitted and the process that we've been going through with this particular developer. So, you know, they had a lot of motivation to try to get into some earthwork and grading this by the end of the summer, and so there's a little bit of a push from them on that part.
Okay, well, as I recall, when we considered this back in July, they had representatives here at that meeting, and they didn't raise.
That is correct, yeah.
Didn't raise any of these issues, so.
That's correct,
It's
yes.
just unfortunate that we couldn't have talked about it then.
So, yeah, as you know, Robert Creamer is going to be retiring, so there's going to be a little bit of a transition here. So I may have to, you know, I've had the luxury of having a qualified staff member that can do a lot of this legwork for me. And so moving forward, you know, I'll have to get a little bit more involved. So.
Okay. All right, any other questions?
Yeah, I have a couple questions regarding the fees. The almost $300,000 that was going to be charged to the developer is now not going to be charged to the developer. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, if this agenda item is approved by the board today. And
That's one way to phrase it. I would say some of those fees are included in the current capacity charge.
okay, that was my next question.
Right.
And you say some of them. The ones that aren't, why are we not including those fees for this current developer if only some of these fees, some of the $300,000 is included in capacity fees that have already been paid?
Right.
What about the so you say some, so how much is not?
So the lock antenna wastewater treatment plant phase 2A, that construction cost was clearly, you know, I went back, did the research that I should have done in the first place. That's clearly, the construction cost of that is clearly in our current capacity charges.
And which one of those, the 128 or 170?
170.
The 170.
170, okay, so the 128.
The 128 is, the construction cost is not included in the current capacity charge, but, because that project was completed before 2005, but they did include a replacement cost as part of the current capacity charge.
So instead of striking the 128, should we put the correct fee in there if only some of it has been addressed before and some of it hasn't?
I think what I was proposing was to come back to the board and, you know, as you may be aware, we need to, you know, our current capacity charges are based on the 2005 master plan effort. And so at some point in the near future, we need to come back and readdress some of the capacity charges. I would say probably lock antenna is the most urgent to be looked at because of some of it's the only assessment district where service area where we have a credit refund back based on the prior assessment district. Some of the way that was calculated is probably a little bit too generous. So to the deficit of the district. So I wanted to kind of take the opportunity to correct that as soon as possible.
That,
Go ahead.
excuse me, that's 14 years ago, so I can understand
Right,
that a
yeah.
lot has happened in that time frame. However, just like Director Ratterman, I'm questioning whether or not we're going to be able to come back under the new circumstances and collect from them. I mean, what are they going to say? Yes?
Well, yeah, and.
We'll pay
and
you.
Certainly, in a comprehensive evaluation of the capacity charges, you do go back and look at, just like we're 8604, we're giving a
Right.
credit for that. You look at all the existing facilities, and if there is a buy-in component where, you know, just because you built a facility and it was 10 years ago, doesn't mean it's forgotten, you know, so somebody still has to pay the tab for that. So, in a more comprehensive analysis, the capacity charge would look at these elements in that capacity charge and address them. So,
Okay.
Charles?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I'm not familiar with this, and I'm really kind of lost on all of it. And so it's currently being developed, this 171 homes. And so removing this, have they already paid capacity fees for these 170?
no, not at
So
all.
how do we go back and get those fees, or do we
Well, that's-
not?
We do, yeah. So those are, I'm sorry, yeah, so.
It's not your fault. It's got a
So
big
these are
mistake.
impact fees, so these are outside our normal capacity charge.
Oh.
So we still get the basic charge for all these 171 homes. Either the developer will pay them or somebody buys the lot.
And that's capacity, so this particular that you want to remove is impact fees?
These are impact
You feel
fees.
they've already been paid in some shape or form?
Yes, right. So the original assumption was that lower La Cantena Dam was prior to it was done in 2002, before the current capacity charges were developed in 2005.
Yeah, so that's the difference, it's an impact fee, which is different from our capacity fees.
Correct,
Okay.
right. So, and I,
And Charles, if they are, if we do, once we do our master plan update for lock and tenant, and we find out the capacity fees are different than they should be, what does that have to do with anything with the impact fees? I mean, if we're supposed to be, if only some of the 128,903 shouldn't be charged, wouldn't this be the time to make that correction and find out what that number is that should be charged and put that number in here?
yeah, I feel that, maybe I need to provide a copy of how that was calculated, so it's a little more clear to you that some of that element was captured in the current capacity charges.
And again, you say some, but not all.
Right, like I said, they did, instead of just taking the basic construction cost of that facility and how many units it's serving and saying, okay, that's what we need to get reimbursed for, they looked at it in a little bit different way. They looked at it in, okay, well, what would it cost to eventually replace that facility? And so they included a component for replacement of it.
Who's they?
They are the consultants that developed the master plan.
Okay, is
And the
that
capacity.
Peterson, Bruce?
It was Ecologic
Okay.
in 2005.
Oh, okay.
Could we, remove this, but insert something that says that balance or remaining impact fees to be charged will be determined, or is that like, or?
I kind of intended this paragraph to actually provide a little bit of flexibility for, maybe I didn't word it quite correctly, that,
So you want to replace what's in my packet here with what's up there?
no, that, I
No,
wanted
this is
to,
what's
No,
being
this is
struck.
I can't see it, so
oh, sorry.
I'm looking at
So,
this stuff.
so there should be.
It's this stuff that's crossed out.
Okay.
There should be
but
one that's crossed
You just said that you wanted to insert a paragraph. Okay.
No.
fine, all right. So just
Sorry.
remove it, and so when I'm
Just remove
saying, can you insert something that says we can come back and collect those impact fees when they are determined?
Well, we did have some impact fees relating to Huckleberry Lift Station and the La Cantena sewer collection system, which is still under review. So, for instance, if we find a deficiency in that system, the developer would have to go back in and correct that deficiency. It would be more of a, like, let's say there was an undersized line, we'd say, okay, well, you need to pay a contractor to come in and replace that line. you know.
So removing this doesn't make it to where we can't somehow recoup some
Right.
kind of cost.
What I would hope is that we can come back in the near future, take another look at the current capacity charge, maybe either if we can't do a comprehensive update like we want to do within the next 6 months, then, or 12 months, then come back and just do potentially an interim fix specifically for lock antenna. But it's kind of at the discretion of the
But
general manager and the board.
if you remove this now, and then they're gonna sign the contract, then you're gonna come back and wanna do an amendment to the contract
So-
again?
Well, the capacity fees have nothing to do with the developer, so it's fully at the discretion of the board to adopt capacity charges. It's not even, there's no vote from customers either, it's all within the discretion of the board. So, we just need to be able to provide the backup for it.
Okay, were you through with your
Yeah,
questions?
go ahead.
Okay, what I thought I heard you say some moments ago was that if you had looked at this through a more clear lens back before July, these charges wouldn't have been in the contract anyway.
Correct.
Okay, all right, so,
Plus, there's issues of consistency, if we charge, Gold Creek Unit 3, there's Hogan Oaks 1, Hogan Oaks 2, we would have to continue to charge those same charges. But yeah, I feel that based on delving further into how the capacity fee was calculated, that these more than likely should not have been in there.
okay, well, I'm gonna assume that you have made that right decision, or that is the correct decision. And I, for one, applaud the district's willingness to say we were wrong. We want to correct this. So,
I do want to make a clarifying statement. If you look at attachment B to this proposal here, it does include system fee, there's system impact fees in it. It's just this specific component is being pulled out. So there's obviously contemplates a lot of different things associated with the Huckleberry lift station that Charles mentions. Or things. We're not absolving the developer of all impact fees. This is just one component that wasn't
okay, and
appropriate. So.
I'm going to trust that the developer knows that. Okay. All right. Is anyone prepared to make a motion on
Yeah, I'll
this?
make a motion that we adopt this resolution authorizing revisions to the water and wastewater service facility agreement with Old Creek Oaks LLC and Gold Creek Estates Unit 3, and authorizing the general manager to execute revised agreement as
Second?
outlined.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there anyone wishing to make a public comment on this? Seeing none, would you please poll the board?
Director Cicada? Yes. Director Redmond?
Yes.
Director Underwood?
Yes.
President Thomas?
Yes. Okay, that item is approved.
Great, thank you.
And Peter will be signing this, is that right? Why not? Okay, may we go?
Thank you.
Thanks, Charles.
Thank you, Charles.
May we go to item 5B? This is discussion and action regarding consideration of the general manager contract addendum.
Don't mess it up.
Don't mess it up. Does it say, okay. We have a general manager who has done a fine job for us, in my opinion, over the last 7 months. So would anybody like to?
I'd like to make a motion that we increase the GM's annual salary 3%, which equates to $4,800,
Effective October 1st.
effective October 1st.
Second?
Okay, moved and seconded. Is there anyone wishing to make any comment on this? Seeing,
We're-
any more comments?
Well, we're providing for this increase in salary based on the fact that, Michael is doing his job completely as a general manager, and we're pleased with the results we've seen. everyone knows what's going on here at CCWD, and it's all been very positive, and that's what I have to say.
Yeah. Well, we had a recent employee picnic, and I was very pleased to hear a number of longstanding employees to come up and volunteer their opinion that things have never been as good as they are now at CCWD. So that was very encouraging, and they pointed out specifically that the changes in administration and management that we've made have resulted in some positive improvements. So, how about you?
I'm ready to vote.
Okay. All right.
Moving on.
All right, would you please poll the board?
Okay. Director Cicada?
Yes.
Director Radaman?
Yes.
Director Underhill?
Yes.
President Thomas?
Yes. Okay, that item is taken care of. All right, we have a general manager's report. Peter, do you have anything to report?
So I did talk to Michael today briefly, and he did want to remind me that we'll have an item on the county's trenching policy in our next board meeting for you to gather information on where that's going. We are close to making a hire or decision on the Director of Administrative Services position within the next couple of weeks. Did want to highlight that the audit is coming to a close. Vice President Underhill should be getting a call as part of the due diligence of the auditors to make sure there's no funny business going on. So, I did want to talk a little bit about some training that Michael and I both attended last week regarding sort of it's more of a holistic budget process discussion. It's really valuable. It's Government Finance Officers Association, and they're more of a nationwide entity, but they do local trainings, and so took advantage of that. But there's a lot of talk about incorporating strategic planning and setting performance goals and targets as part of your budget process. So I think that's something that I definitely would recommend the next person do, and that we start that process in the next couple months here, and so we can incorporate that into our next budget cycle and make sure we're expending our funds appropriately and funding things at an appropriate level in the future and checking in on that. So yeah.
I heard that at the meeting yesterday. And, other than looking at staying within budget, can you give me an example of what some performance targets would be?
So you take it to a department head, actually, and so some of the ideas, actually the gentleman that was given there's two people teaching the class, of course, but the one gentleman is the CFO of the city of Long Beach, and obviously massive. I'm sure his budget and finance department is larger than the entire district staff, but there were some things that could be learned there as far as setting targets. Maybe you identify that leaks are an issue. Those are an easy one. You're like, okay, well, we're going to try to hit X target amount of leaks or fixes or laterals this year. You might do things as like a survey of customers, maybe see how they feel about the district service levels in various areas, and we could take that as maybe trying to improve performance there. Water resources is kind of, we'll figure something out there. There's you just setting targets and checking in, to see where we are on an annual basis as part of that. And you start early. So if we do this, we should start probably around January or February, having those conversations at a department head level and bringing those things to the board too. So I think there's some opportunities there. So, and then just reminded when that you're in that room, I am looking into soundproofing options for the meeting rooms right now. So we'll try to get something in place soon on that. So. No, I did not. If you wanted, I could have hung out outside the room, but yeah. No, I just want you to know that I haven't forgotten about it, so.
All right. Going on to item 7, board reports. Supervisor Underhill, Director Underhill, can we start with you?
Oh, you're going to your left.
Mhm.
Great. I'm sorry to report that we had a incident out at the ballpark at White Pines Park. They broke into the snack shack, and we have no idea what was stolen, or I haven't heard any backup, but they, ripped the the double bolt off of it and so left it wide open. And the sheriff's department was very, very responsive to the call, and she came out and took pictures, and unfortunately wasn't able to take any fingerprints, but there might be, arrests in the near future. But out at White Pines Park, it's so isolated that, and they'd have no security, so we're just at the public's mercy. And after midnight on a Friday night, Saturday night, it's all open. So the sheriff will be making, drive-throughs, and that always helps to keep down the anti-crime element. And as I say, that happened just the 21st. I don't know if you could pass this on, if you would, to Damon. CAL FIRE is going to be taking down, about 50 trees out at White Pines Park because, they're, the bug, or they're dead trees. If we could get, if the park committee could have the use of CAL FIRE's chipper, that would really help the situation rather than piling it all and then burning. So if you could.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do. I know that Jesse Hampton has been in contact with the CAL FIRE crews about that work effort, so
Right.
I could relay that message if you like.
Okay, that was a request that was made to me, so.
All right.
You
Yeah.
could pass that on. And so I appreciate the work you're doing, Peter, and now you're gonna have someone you're gonna be training in this transition period. Because I said to Michael, whatever help we could give you in your interim, go ahead and do
I've been
it.
learning a lot, so
Uh-huh.
taking advantage of that. So it's not a lost opportunity, and it's always good to have people backing each other up. So, in the end, this is probably good for the district as a whole, and documenting and getting a fresh set of eyes on things. So,
Oh, right,
Yeah.
right. Okay, well,
very good.
thank you. Okay, that's it.
Director Rademan?
Just one thing, the Mountain Counties tour and reception it's going to be in Murphy's on Thursday, November 14th. And we've been doing some dry runs of our tour down to McKay's and to the Flume, and just preparing for that. And everyone on the board will definitely be invited to the reception. We're kind of running out of room on the bus, so it's going to be limited. As we get closer, we'll try and refine who is sitting in those 24 seats. It's mainly for the Mountain Counties board is who the tour is for, and then the sponsors of the event are going to definitely be invited as well. Just an update on what's going on in November.
Okay, so that if we've taken the tour of those facilities, there's not a whole bunch of changes or anything, so.
I don't think there's any changes this year in any of those facilities.
I did want to, highlight that Downey Brand is sponsoring that event too for Mountain County. So we could
Exactly.
thank them
Thank you
for
very
that
much
too.
to Matt Weber and the whole firm, Downey Brand. Yeah, we have two sponsors, and again, thank you very much. The second sponsor, now that Peter has thanked the first sponsor, I can't think of who they are.
Is it close?
It's Condor.
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 All right. Thank you, Peter, for thanking both of them for us.
Whoever they are.
That's all I got.
That was probably because they had some big ticket items on our last list of disbursements. So.
Yeah, we pushed hard. Yeah.
Okay. Yes?
My turn.
Your turn.
I attended the T-Stan RWM GPA meeting last Wednesday, and the financial report showed that we have a surplus. I want to say it's 14,000. I don't have it in front of me, but something on like that. And they're just rolling that over, and we will discuss next fiscal year if we'll lower the membership fee, because we tend to be doing pretty good now collecting the money. All the GPA members have paid in full for the year. We accepted a couple of projects in the plan, and I think they're Groveland, I think there was 4. Peter, do you remember those? Which projects they were? We
Yeah,
all talked about it at the last meeting.
there was I know there's a project with UWPA. They were going to have some comms. Yeah. Yeah, there was one from Groveland. No, was it P Campa was there at that meeting from one of them. So, yeah.
Okay, so we approached, and this was just approval getting into the plan. They are going for some funding that we have going on. And then, they did a resolution authorizing the submission of Prop 1, Round 1 implementation grant. And we also started the time to open call for projects. That'll go from October 1 to 12/1. So if anybody has a project they want to get included in the plan, this is the time to do so. And that was it.
Okay.
Could I ask one more,
Sure.
make one more statement? We know, of course, that a whole bunch of counties are affected by the PSPS, and Calaveras County was on red on the map that we were tentative shut off, but I guess it didn't meet it, the criteria, but heard
I'm
anything
surprised.
else? Yeah.
At our house, it was really windy Wednesday night,
Uh-huh.
and we were ready for it, but, yeah.
So Calaveras just bit the bullet.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I would encourage staff to keep their fingers on the pulse of how that power shutoff is being, how it's affecting our sister agencies, and if we can learn anything, glean anything from this this phenomenon that we're facing
Yeah.
in these times.
Dave Egerton didn't have any power.
Really?
Really? Yeah.
Okay. All right. I really don't have anything to report. I've been gone for a couple of weeks, but maybe I'll have more report next time. Hope so.
Maybe.
Okay, and we have next meetings scheduled for October the 9th at 1 o'clock, and then also Wednesday, October 23rd at 1 o'clock. And if there's no other items, do I have a motion for adjournment? Okay, I think we are adjourned then, so.
Well, congratulations, Director Thomas. I think you set a record for the quickest board
Quickest
meeting
board
ever.
meeting ever.
2:05.
That's because
And we had
Yeah.
a closed
Well, maybe
session.
I'll go down there.